So you went to New York, you went back to Dublin for a few days.
for a few hours.
Okay. Why for a few hours?
I just decided I need to go back to Dublin and do a few things, drop some things off, get some new things.
Down in Capel Street?
Yeah. And then go to London, then come to London.
How long are you here for?
Just till this afternoon.
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah, I was photographing Lady Mary from Downton Abbey yesterday.
I love Downton Abbey. Was it good? Was she nice?
Fun. She was lovely, yeah. Very lovely.
I think it's amazing. I am.
Fun.
I watch it every Sunday. I'm really sad it's over now. I have to wait till next March. But and how was New York?
New York was great.
Yeah.
I was shooting there for an offshoot of Anthropology, BHLDN. And they were great to work with, so that was good.
Great.
Yeah.
So you're well. I haven't seen you in ages.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
And so much has happened.
I know.
The last time I saw you was at your first show in London.
Yeah, which was when I was with Fashion East, and then now I've kind of graduated and I've started showing alone. So it's been it's really good.
So how did the first solo show go?
Good. It was in I did it in a place called Portland Place, so I did it in like an old house, which was really good. So I kind of did like almost like an old salon show.
Yeah.
But the place was quite like, it was a little bit like falling. It was like kind of falling down, but it was kind of really nice because it kind of contrasted with the collection, which was quite romantic. I wanted something to kind of harden it up, but it was really good.
And it went well. It went well. Got great press.
Yeah, no, I'm chuffed. And then like I got to go to like Milan and Paris and New York and do all that. So yeah, it feels pretty real right now, if I'm being completely honest. But yeah, I'm really happy. It's good. And yeah, so I get like, and like I love London now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. I like, I'm so happy here. So.
And you go back to Dublin much?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's why I'm so happy, because I get to go home so much. But so I've been going home. Like I was home last week for a few days. I'll probably go home again.
Oh, great! Thank you.
Thanks a million. Can I have some sugar? Yeah. Thanks. But yeah, I thought I was asked to come on today, and they're saying who I'd like to talk to, and I thought you'd be great. Well, obviously I haven't seen you in ages.
Well, thank you for inviting me.
And then they were like, well, why? And I was obviously now I've been working more. Thank you very much. Oh God, that's a really big bowl of sugar. But yeah, so are you spending much? Where are you living now?
I live in Dublin.
Okay.
On Capel Street.
Okay.
Have you ever been to Capel Street to the studio?
Yeah,
you have been there.
I didn't know you lived in the studio.
Yeah, I live upstairs.
Okay.
And the studio's on the first floor. And that's my base. It's been my base for a long time. Mm-hmm. But like you, I get to travel.
Flamingos painted outside.
Yeah, they moved.
Oh.
The Flamingo place. So yeah, and I end up traveling quite a lot.
In New York. Last time I saw you was in New York with Dad.
Yeah, that's right.
I think so.
So I go to New York quite a bit, to the States quite a bit, to London quite a bit, Italy a bit. Wherever.
Where are you originally from?
I grew up in London.
I thought as much, because didn't you go to Eton?
I did indeed.
Which I told someone the other day, and they're like, really? And I was like, yeah, I think he did. But
that was slightly by default, in the sense that I was growing up in London. Mm-hmm. My mother was actually a journalist at the Times newspaper.
Okay.
She was women's page editor. And I used to go to school across the road at the City of London School. And quite often after school, I'd play football in the yard, be thrown out of there, go across to the Times and hang out with my mum.
Okay.
And she would invariably send me off to the printing press with one of the printer guys, get a cheese roll, and I got very. These were the days when printing was all set in lead type. Very, very different to now. And there's definitely something about that printing, the smells, that is not far away from the darkroom.
Okay.
And from photography. And my mother died when I was 11, and I think then my father thought it was going to be a little bit easier to send me away to school. And I think my father had always kind of believed in private school, being sent away to school, and my mother always wanted me to go to school in London.
And be close to home.
Yeah, so essentially I had to give up a bit of my London life,
Oh.
my London street life. I got sent off to a little prep school, a kind of crammer to do the syllabus
Okay.
for the common entrance exam. Managed to pass and was sent off to Eton.
Wow.
So it was quite a change from,
Yeah.
I guess I was quite a streetwise young kid.
Where in London?
Aged 11, 12. And I was very into sort of London street culture.
Mhm. And then to be shipped off to Eton.
Yeah, it was quite a change.
I was looking in I was at home recently looking in this in a book. I think it was called A1 or A4, and it had
Okay.
a piece about a magazine you did in Eton
Yeah.
called Lipstick,
Yeah.
which because I was looking through it and I was like, oh, this is amazing. And then Mum was like, that's Perry, and I was like, what? And then I was like, was that when you were in school?
Well, it's a great school, Eton. I have to say I'm glad I went there. I was given a lot of opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
It's where I first started processing film using the darkroom, making pinhole cameras out of shoe boxes. And in my last year, along with some friends, I did a magazine, a one-off magazine. It was very much inspired by Interview, and also by English publication that had been inspired by Interview, which was Ritz,
Okay.
which was published by David Bailey
Okay.
and David Litchfield, who was a graphic designer, and had a similar format to Interview. So I set off on this project and pinpointed certain people that I wanted to photograph and interview.
Yeah.
And I ended up in New York in April 1979, interviewing Andy Warhol and
Wow.
Diana Vreeland.
Amazing.
And I remember going
What
to...
did they say? How did you approach?
Andy Warhol didn't say too much,
Okay.
but I think I just wrote to Diana Vreeland.
Yeah.
And Andy Warhol I had a contact with in a roundabout way. And I remember going to meet Diana Vreeland in the basement of the Met at the Costume Institute.
Okay.
And she was absolutely amazing.
I'm not surprised.
Probably one of the most amazing women I've ever met in my life. And she actually got on the phone to Richard Avedon, the photographer, and said, oh, you have to meet this cute young English photographer who's here.
Oh, wow.
And unfortunately, he was going to China the next day, so I never got to meet him. But she was extraordinary.
Oh, that's such a
And
shame.
she was just so generous and giving and enthusiastic, and it really inspired me. I kind of lived on that energy for many, many years.
Wow. Do you still have the magazine?
I do have a couple of copies.
Oh,
yeah.
good. That's
And
amazing.
my girlfriend of the time was on the cover.
It's the girl in the suit, isn't it?
She's dressed up in the kind of Eton prefect
Yeah.
uniform, which is a tailcoat, braided tailcoat, butterfly collar, bow tie, and a kind of colourful waistcoat
Oh, brilliant.
with Bieber makeup. I managed to get a makeup artist from Bieber to come and do the makeup.
That's amazing. No, because I saw it, but I only saw it printed.
Yeah,
So no, I'd love to see it. Great.
it was a one-off. And actually, we
Yeah.
got a lot of advertising. I sort of targeted people who advertised in Ritz.
Yeah.
So people like Fiorucci, Olympus Cameras, they all did beautiful ads at the time. So we
And they all came on board.
most of them came on board, yeah. So we'd actually made some money before we even sold a copy of the magazine. And we were only allowed...
How much were you selling it for?
I think we were selling it for 50p at the time.
Wow.
And so, even including the cost to go to the States for a few days. So yeah, it was good. It was a success, and it was a great learning curve.
I'd say so. What age were you?
I was 18.
What a good experience.
Yeah.
And it's not the kind of thing you'd see that would come out of Eton. But it's not what you just associate it. Well, obviously, I went to school in Ireland, and it just seemed like a world away for me. But
There was kind of a strong journalistic magazine interest. People like Nick Coleridge and Craig Brown. They had edited something called the Eton College Chronicle.
okay.
They were probably 3-4 years older than I was, but I remember them, and I remember the sort of things they did. And so there was always an opportunity once a year for someone to come and do a magazine. They had to apply to the headmaster, and we applied that year, and we were given it. And I guess we changed it somewhat.
Yeah. Great.
And took it into more. Who were the people we interviewed? So there's Warhol, Diana Vreeland, Joe Strummer, David Bailey, and the actress Diana Rigg.
Oh wow! Oh, I'd love a copy.
I'll get you a copy.
Yeah, that sounds brilliant. Then how did you end up in Ireland? Because I met you in Ireland. When I think of when we first met, I actually think of Ballymaloe.
Yeah.
But I presume I might have met you. But I think that's when that whole kind of moment happened when we all did Ballymaloe.
Yeah.
But how did you end up in Ireland?
You know, I was living in New York.
Okay.
I went to New York quite soon after I set up as a photographer on my own in London. Had a studio in Rosebery Avenue, and went to New York because I thought that New York was really the centre of photography and fashion photography and portraiture. And I really wanted to be there. I'd done a couple of jobs there. I was very excited by the city, and of course I had that initial trip when I was 18.
Yeah.
When Andy Warhol, I'd gone with Andy Warhol to Studio 54.
Okay.
And so that was my kind of experience of New York life.
And it was
so
glamorous.
I was living there. It was
roll.
all glamorous, and you know, it was a lot of fun. And as well as being fun, it was, you know, there were great photographers there. And you always associated New York with the sort of Avedons and Penns and you know, other American photography, Diane Arbus. And so I was living in New York, and I was sent by some Japanese people I was working with to Ireland to do a recce for a week because they were keen to shoot in Ireland, and they wanted me to go and have a look around. So I rang an old friend, Mark Palmer, who's somebody I'd used as a model quite often.
Yeah.
And he said, well, I have friends, we can go to stay with them, and I know Ireland, and we'll drive around.
Yeah.
So that must have been about 1985.
Wow.
And
I wasn't born yet.
arrived in Ireland, and it was a very, very different place then.
Yeah, no, I get that impression because I feel like obviously my mum's from Ireland, but obviously Dad's from Hong Kong, and I feel like it must have been a very different place for him to settle there then as well, because I think it's definitely changed a lot in the last few years.
I think just even the infrastructure, there was one dual carriageway back then, going around Nace, and everything else was just a regular road. But it was interesting, and it was different to somewhere like London. But going to Dublin then, it was different to London. London had been sort of gentrified, and Dublin still was very mixed.
Yeah.
And there was something very lovely about that. So anyway, I had this week in Ireland and stayed out in Leaslip.
Yeah.
And drove around a bit, went down to Kerry, went down to Wicklow, and loved it. Thought, yes, this is great, we're definitely going to come back and shoot here. So then we came back to shoot and stayed again in Leaslip, and really loved Ireland, loved the light, loved the culture, and it was all new for me.
Yeah.
And Ireland, growing up in London in the late 60s and 70s, you know, it was Northern Ireland was a big thing, and that was all I really knew about Ireland, beyond, you know, getting a touch of Joyce and Beckett and Yeats and the obvious.
Yeah, but it seemed
characters.
so removed. The Republic seemed so removed from
it was
the
so
North.
close but so far away. So to actually finally be there was exciting. And I love the west of Ireland, Connemara, and as
Connemara is so beautiful.
Yeah, there's a kind of wildness to it, which I love.
It makes me think of horses.
Yeah.
Like, you know, and like it's like I reference Ireland a lot in my work, which people every time I meet they're like, Jesus, you're Irish, you're so Irish, because I've lived here now for nearly 4 years, and but I find you reference home, and I reference home a lot, and people are always like, why? And I think it's just because there's so much guts in it, you know, and it's so real, and there's so much heritage, and it's kind of the earth, and I think that's like today, like living in a city and such a busy creative hub city, I think it's got that grounding. Yeah. So I think that's why I'm very pro where I come from, but I think that's a huge part of what kind of pulls you to a place. Does that make sense?
Yeah. it's a very rich culture, isn't it, Ireland? And it's sort of hard to describe, really, isn't it? It's very
because if you know it, you're so submerged in it. But then, it's hard to describe. But I think what it is there's like an earthiness and there's like a reality to it. But because I did when I came here to do my master's in St. Martin's, and I actually referenced my collection on the Pony Kids, which was the piece you did at home in Smithfield.
Yeah.
And it was when I was in college, they're like, "Now why are you doing that?" You know what I mean? And I was like, I just feel seriously connected to this, and I love these kids and their stories, and with the horses and the fact it's in the market, and I just wanted to know how. I know with Pablo Keane you started going to the children's courts, and that's how you met all the characters. But how did Pony Kids come about originally?
I think it started through a friend of mine from LA who was over in Ireland, James Mathers. I'm not sure if you ever met him. And he was trying to make a film about these pony kids.
Okay.
I don't think they were called Pony Kids at that point, but about these kids and about this culture. And I sort of went around with him a bit, and he was the first one to take me to the Smithfield Horse Fair, which was really only a few blocks from where I live, behind Capel Street.
Yeah, it's just...
And I just became fascinated by the kind of mix of cultures of the sort of old Irish traveller culture of the ponies and horses meeting the kind of modern global sportswear.
That's
culture,
what I find so amazing.
Irish
the
city
Umbro
kids
and
with their haircuts, their fringes and shaved sides.
And bleached tops.
They were all wearing Adidas, Nike, Umbro, and that was a big thing for them. And I thought this was a great, it was like a little emerging culture that actually had come about because travellers had been encouraged to settle in the city. And had been sort of settled near housing estates on the edge of Dublin, and so slowly through the 80s they had sort of crossed over with settle kids, and the settle kids wanted to ride their ponies
through town
and through town. And also at that time in Dublin, when we were doing those photos in the mid and late 90s, there were no rules in the city about riding a horse. So
really?
anybody could just ride a pony up and down the main street.
Down Grafton Street.
Down Grafton Street or O'Connell Street or up and down the quays. And nobody could stop them.
That's amazing.
So I became fascinated by this culture, and obviously I then sensed that it wasn't going to last for very long because the authorities didn't appreciate it.
Yeah.
And the powers that be didn't see this as a good image for Ireland. And there were issues too that some of the horses weren't being that well looked after.
Yeah.
That was inevitable in some situations, but I think that could have been handled a little better rather than being clamped down on.
Yeah.
So it was soon new legislation was introduced to say you had to have a license to have a pony.
Okay.
You had to prove to get a license. You had to prove you had a stable, 12 foot by 12 foot by 12 foot, and also to prove you had an acre of land per each horse. So there was no way these working class kids were going to be able to sign up.
So is that when they all started to sell? Because Smithfield is a horse fair.
Yeah.
So they're obviously trying to sell. Are they trying to sell them to other people in the community, or?
I think it's
or
within the community. People come across from England to look for good ponies and horses. When it was thriving, it was really a major horse fair, and had been going for hundreds of years.
Yeah.
And takes place on the first Sunday of every month. But again, that's being pushed out slowly but surely. But I was just fascinated by those kids and what they were wearing and
the culture of it.
Yeah. And it was interesting too that in middle class horsey society, it's the girls who ride.
Yeah.
Whereas the girls thought horses were a bit dirty.
Okay.
And it was the boys who were really into it. A few girls, but it was really all about the boys. And some of them went on to become jockeys.
Okay. The skinny little lads.
Yeah. and sadly many of those kids are dead as well now.
That's terrible.
Yeah.
How long ago was it?
The book was published in 1999, I think. Yeah, 1999. First we had an exhibition in Smithfield. We blew them up really big.
Yeah.
Stuck them on the walls and put some protective plastic sheeting over the
And
front.
did everybody love? Did all the kids? How did they
Yeah,
feel
there was an
about
opening.
it?
The then President Mary Robinson came to open it,
But she was amazing.
and it was interesting having the outdoor exhibition. And only one picture went missing.
Oh really?
Yeah, one of the girls went missing. I think a boy quite fancied her and took it off, and apparently it was on his bedroom wall now.
Oh my god, that's amazing.
The other ones all stayed there, and slowly got a little bit of graffiti or moustaches.
Yeah.
But they seemed to be well respected.
Oh, I'm glad. Because it's a fascinating project, and it is because it turns into like a tribe. It almost feels like a tribe.
Yeah, it was very tribal.
And that's their guts, and it's an amazing project. But it's something I still reference all the time, and it's always great. And then, yeah,
it would be interesting to go back and see what's happened to all those kids.
Definitely.
We thought about it after 10 years. We thought of going out to even film them.
Yeah.
And try to find them, see who was still around, what they had to say. But maybe after 20 years.
Yeah, that'd be a great idea. Because I know then that obviously led to Pybit Lakeen.
Yeah.
And I heard Winnie's married now.
Yeah.
Which is mad.
With a child now as well.
No!
Yeah.
Oh, I just heard she was married.
Yeah.
Because it just goes to show that it's, it's obviously their life, and even though we get to see a segment of it that it moves on. You know what I mean? Obviously, for most people, I'd say Winnie is captivated as that girl in that moment. But obviously now she has a kid, is married. Same you're saying, some of the kids from the horse fair have passed away. You don't even. It makes you respect it so much more because you're looking into a segment of their life.
Yeah.
Rather than, Jeez.
Yeah. She's great, Winnie. I still see her. And in fact, in November last year, end of last year, we were asked on to the John Murray show on RTE Radio. Okay. Because it was the 5th anniversary of the release of Pavi.
Okay.
And so myself, Winnie, and her mother Rosie went on the radio show.
Oh wow!
And Winnie, it was really interesting listening to Winnie in that situation, live on radio. And she was sort of very empowered, I felt, and had strong opinions. And some people have given her a lot of hassle for being in the film. You know what that sort of closed society can be like. Yeah. You're showing us up, you're letting us down, you're doing this, you're doing that, and of which the Irish Traveller Society is very enclosed. And she spoke up and said, well, never mind them, they should take a look at themselves. I wanted to do this film and I'm happy and proud I did this film, and now I'm doing this and I'm married and have a baby, James, and I thought she was really forceful and
I'm glad.
Had a really true sense of herself.
Good. No, I'm glad. It's nice to see that it still develops into people's lives. You know what I mean? But no, it's definitely a very special piece. How's your tea?
Tea's good. Yeah, I've become a bit of a green tea addict.
How come?
I had to give up coffee many years ago.
Why?
It was going straight into my nervous system and sending me all over the place like a pinball.
Oh dear. I know, because I panicked. I was getting tea on the way, and then your man in the shop, I kind of ran out the door because they were like, you're going to be in this space and it's going to be live, and I was like, shit, I'm late. So I went in and I was like, can I have 30p off the tea? And he was like, yeah. And then I came here and they had tea already. I was like, oh. But it's a great space. I was taken around earlier and they said it actually used to be Francis Bacon's studio. Really? Yeah. Wow. Which I thought was hilarious because I was like, do you know who's talking? Ian Perry? Because I'm very happy to say that I have one of your pictures. Well, it was the picture you gave to Dad for his birthday, but it hangs in Ireland, but
in your room.
Yes.
Yeah, I've seen it there.
Yeah, and because obviously you documented it piece by piece before it moved, but I thought it was so interesting that they said his studio was here as well. So it must have been before.
Yeah, before. That makes sense. I know he had one in Battersea, but obviously he had a few. He didn't move to Rees Mews until 61, I think, and he'd been working away for some years before then. So I'll have to look that up.
Yeah.
I'm sure there are pictures
and
of it.
they told me he fell through the roof somewhere here.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
But which I thought was really interesting because I'm a huge fan of bacon.
Yeah.
And I thought it was so special that you got to document it before it went to Ireland. How many days did they let you in for?
You know what, I think I spent 3 days there, and I only photographed in the mornings because I knew that was the time when he'd mainly painted in there.
Okay.
And the studio was only lit by a skylight, and which faced west. So in the morning you got the equivalent of a north light, very soft but sharp and focused light. Whereas in the afternoon you get the sun streaming in. But I don't think Bacon was ever there in the afternoons because he'd get up early in the morning, paint till about midday or 1, and then head off to the West End for lunch.
Okay.
And a bit of cruising and drinking, and not get back till later that night. And so I sort of wanted to photograph it in the same light that he would have spent most of his time in there.
Yeah, because if he wasn't there in the
And it was an amazing space. It was quite a small space, but there was a real energy, as well as a kind of stillness there, that was quite inspiring. And he was actually somebody I'd wanted to interview for this magazine I did in school, but I couldn't track him down because he was the first artist painter that I really became aware of and studied. And I remember buying the John Russell book on Francis Bacon when I was about 16, 17.
Okay.
But I couldn't get hold of him. I think I'd written to his gallery at the time, but never heard back.
You probably would have had more luck going to the Toucan.
I wish I'd known the address. His address, I would have just gone and knocked on the door at the right time, and you might have just been let in. And I'm sure that would have been very interesting. But that was a great project. You know, really a truly wonderful project.
I'd say it was just phenomenal, especially because his work is so amazing, and then obviously to see the environment that it's done in, and then to document it is, and the way they've done it and moved it piece by piece is really exciting.
They did an incredible job. It's amazing to go and see it. I mean, I always encourage people when they come to Dublin, you must go and see the Hugh Lane and the Bacon studio. Yeah,
no, definitely. But the fact it's such a amazing idea, the way the whole installation it's turned itself into a piece, and I think it's a really respectful way for people to see his work as well. Yeah.
He was very, very interesting, and what's fascinating is also that he kept coming back to that place. You know, obviously he started making a lot of money from his paintings, and he bought a house in South Kensington, an interior decorator did it up. Bacon hated it, couldn't live there, he gave it away. He had another studio at one point down on the Thames in the East End, but it looked over the Thames facing south, and because of the sun and the tide going up and down, there was no consistency to the light.
Okay.
So it was changing all the time, and it became very difficult to work in that environment.
So we went back again.
Always kept Rees Mews and kept going back there. And that was really the place he did the great work.
Amazing.
But there's something about the consistency of light.
Yeah, no, and I think that I didn't know that about how it was only in the morning, because the picture I have has the skylight and the mirror, which is so amazing. It's the favourite thing I have around me by far. But it's no, it's great. It's really, really it's a special project.
Very special project. But particularly as I'd always loved Bacon.
Yeah, exactly.
So to get that opportunity was once in a lifetime, really. Right place at the right time. And the reason that happened was because I'd had a show of the Pony Kids at the Hugh Lane Gallery in Dublin, and the director knew I had an interest in Bacon, and she asked me to come and have a look. She said to me, look, this is possibly going to happen. We're going to be given the studio by the estate, and would you come and have a look? And so it just started out by taking some photographs.
Okay.
And there wasn't a plan to have a book or an exhibition or anything. It was just documenting it. a bit like the Pony Kids, really.
Mm-hmm.
Just all about documenting, and then put together a book and big prints and exhibitions. But it was great.
It was amazing.
So what are you doing now? Are you working on your next show?
I am. I'm based out in Hackney now, which is quite nice. I have a studio out there. And we're working on autumn winter, so for February. So yeah, it's really exciting. It's kind of the beginning stages, which is the really nice bit. Well, it's kind of cleaning up production and stuff, but it's really nice. And I get to do all my research now. So I was looking to a tribe called in Papua New Guinea, who are called New Ireland, and I'm contrasting that with Old Ireland, because the tribe, it's all textiles and face paint, and then I'm contrasting it with oversized peat coats, and so it's kind of like the really exciting time getting to go to the library and look at books and go
research. I always love to research,
and it's like you don't get to do it. It's the most important thing, and what I've realized then when you're showing every season, there's a whole load of other stuff you have to do as well. So it's quite nice. It's like a really nice time, and it's so I'm gonna go back to Ireland, do a little bit of research, and then come back here, and you're really happy living out east and just working away.
Yeah.
Kind of getting on it. I've had like a fabulous year. I got to do like a piece with Niall O'Brien, who's an Irish guy. Yeah, he's a friend of mine as well. And we did a piece this season. So, there's been like really nice projects happening. And it's great to be able to do all kind of different mediums as well. So I'm just kind of trying to push that forward. So yeah, it's a good time. Yeah. I don't even know. It seems like such a blur these days. It's just like everything's kind of coming and going, and lots of traveling. I was in New York, so that was really good. Doing a bit of work over there, so it's nice. It's an exciting time, and it's I feel really lucky that I get to do it. If I'm being completely honest,
it's a lot of work, though, isn't it?
Yeah, so much more than you.
And you've got to keep going.
You don't get a minute.
Yeah.
You're just like. So, and if I find myself hopping around a lot more, like traveling a lot more, but yeah, it's great. It's a really good time. I think I'm very happy.
And do you know where you're going to show in January?
I don't know yet, but I'll definitely be showing in London. So fingers crossed. It's somewhere and people want to come and see what's going on. But it's it's definitely an exciting time.
And who did you, like from the last collection, who did you sell to?
I'm going into Dover Street Market, which I'm really excited about, and I was very lucky when I was in Paris. I got to meet Ray, which was really, really exciting moment for me. So my collection's going to go in there, which for me is the ultimate, and then Colette in Paris.
Yeah.
And then in Hong Kong as well, in IT. So I can't wait. I'm going to try and go to Hong Kong in Easter to go see the family, because obviously my granny's there, and Dad's like 7 brothers and sisters, so like Uncle Herman, whose daughter's Hermanita, whose sister's Cicilita, and so I'm going to go and see all them, and then so that'll be really good. But so it's great, and I get to like travel so much more now and see where the clothes are going and get to show, and I really enjoy it, and I feel like I'm so lucky that I feel I have something to say and I get the opportunity to say it. Yeah.
But it's kind of all about exploring, isn't it?
Definitely.
Yeah, being able to explore, and like I said earlier about being inspired by Ireland and being able to explore what you want to explore.
Exactly, and it doesn't feel like school anymore, and it's really exciting that you get to think about what you want to do, and then it's all about the curiosity of it, and then bringing that into what I want to make and what I want to design, and hopefully it makes something interesting that other people would also like to look at and be a part of.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm doing these days.
Well, it's great.
Yeah.
It's great to see. It's great to see you doing so well.
I know. Thank
Really
you.
great.
And it's so good to see you. It's,
Yeah.
Yeah. It's because I haven't seen you in so long. But yeah. I don't know how long we need to sit in here. Yeah. I'm happy.
That seemed good, didn't it?
Yeah. I'm
Tea's
like-
running out.
I know, I've run out of coffee, so that probably means it's time. It's go time. So you're only here for the day?
Going back tonight.
To Dublin?
Yeah.
For how long?
I'm going to be in Dublin now for 10 days. Then I have to come back to London to do a portrait. And then I'm going to South Africa
Amazing.
for Sari, which is another story.
No way! Oh, brilliant.
Yeah.
That's going so well.
Well, it's a big thing now, isn't it?
Yeah, like
Yeah.
I remember like the first few ones and it seemed like so small and now it's grown so much. It's brilliant. It's still supporting Chelsea.
Still full of Chelsea.
Oh, God.
The less said about that, the better.
Yeah. Okay, great. What are you going to do for the rest of the day?
I'm going to meet up with Vi. She was going to come to meet
How
us. She
is
already wants
she?
to see you.
That'd be brilliant.
Yeah, she might be here. She might be heading this way.
Okay, brilliant.
We'll see her. What are you doing now? Are you rushing off?
No, well, actually, Mum and Dad are in town.
Are they?
Yeah, so
Oh, wow.
they're around to the shop, so we could walk
Yeah,
around
let's go and see
say
them.
hi.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're here for like 2 days.
Okay, great.
Brilliant.
Well, we'll go
I
and
haven't
see
seen
them.
Violet in ages.
Yeah, well, let's try and all meet up. We can call her in a sec and see where she is. I think she was a little late getting up
Oh my
to
God.
make it by 11.
I woke up, I live with my mate now, and I woke up, and she's like, "Oh, get up," and I was like, "Yeah." And then she came in, and she's like, "Are you not going to this thing?" I was like, "Oh God," I thought it was going to be so late, so I think I made it in time.
It's all good. Hey, well, thank you for inviting me.
No, thank
it's
you
great
for
to be here.
coming.
It's great to be at SHOWstudio.
Yeah,
It's my
it's
first
amazing.
time here.
Me too.
So people have to come because you can come and have coffee and
And
tea
it was-
here
and it was
there's a
delicious.
clothes shop and exhibitions. So it's great.
You know, it's fab.